touch on... well, this is quite disgraceful. This is absolutely disgraceful. The first punch was thrown by Borovic at Mike Griffiths, who waited a few seconds and hit him back, and suddenly everything erupted. I wonder what Gareth Edwards saw of that.
Well, it is unfortunate as far as the incident occurred, because it could easily have blown over very, very quickly. But of course, it's the tendency today for one man wanting to take the law into his own hand, and I'm sure that Wakanathan there is rather disgusted by both sides. I suppose it's the old method that was brought up in the 70s, where the 99 call was thrown out, and everybody wanted to get involved. And Richard Evans in Asher Park will be very, very lucky if he stays on.
The crowd are getting impatient with referee Parker, but he's taking the temperature down with these long warnings that he's delivering.
Yes, and this isn't the first warning he's given already this half, and therefore I think that anybody, and I do mean anybody who's silly enough to contravene the law in the next couple of minutes will be sent off.
That's Bush on the drive for Maoris into and beyond the Maesteg 10-metre line. This is too wily. His little chip was intercepted by Richard Evans. There's still a tremendous amount of tension as these two packs clash. This is Bush breaking away again, leading the Maoris today, wearing one. The ball goes back to too wily. Shelford is the link man. Pick up speed by Pokeri. His pass is not able to be taken by Victor Simpson. And it's Andy Baker who side foots to touch 15 for the Maoris. There's been an infringement. We'll see a set scrummage. Hugh Llewellyn is Maesteg scrum half, just in front of the Old Parish 10-metre line. They lead 3-0. That's Ian Hall picking some space. It's up in the sunlight again, but Andy Baker makes a good job of that catch and finds touch. That's Andy Baker. He'll feel better because he dropped a ball about 6 or 8 minutes ago. Similar one coming out of the sun. Little Blake, the tiniest man in the Maori side, but look at those shoulders. That's him. Wiley. Pokeri. For once his hand's letting him down, and Victor Simpson is swallowed up by John R.F.C. And it's hard to ruck, even for the Maoris, going backward. Good work by the Maesteg midfield. And the referee giving the visitors the put-in at the set scrummage. A reminder that David Edwards against Kevin Borovic is the prop packing that we see in this half. Pick up by Cooper, a little dummy, and trying to play Blake into space. The ball is now with Coffin, a Woodman, and the ball moves as far as Maesteg 22. Maoris skillfully driving on. It's back with Wiley, well taken by Pokeri. It's a chip. Peter Jones has to turn. Steve Brown is there, but there are more Maoris than there are Maesteg at the moment. Can they ruck it? It's back with Pokeri, sends it inside to Woodman. Tuoro was there, poised for a scoring pass. He could get a second try. He has. This giant of a man, Paul Tuoro, looming over the others, 20.5 stone of him, scores his second try of the tour.
See here, Maesteg and the pressure underneath their own post. Pokeri gets the ball, flicks it inside to Woodman, who passes it on to Paul Tuoro, Rickett here. And I believe it was Baker. The ball seemed to go sideways in that tackle, and I suppose the Maoris are likely a bit lucky, but an excellent try nevertheless.
Breeze just slightly with him, blowing across, as the Welsh standard in the background shows us. That's a good kick at goal. Right through the middle, beautiful conversion by Andy Baker. That's Richard Evans, Maesteg's giant young lock. He's 19 stone, sizable presence in the second row. The lineout is just inside the Maoris half. Mike Griffiths challenging Rickett, losing. Hugh Llewellyn sends an awkward one the way of Ian Hall. He does very well to get any kind of kick in at all. Kurarangi is taken by Peter Jones. support from Tuoro, who's covering a lot of ground this afternoon. David Arthur, 6 for Maesteg. Willie Lauder, 8, are there trying to dispossess. Mike Griffiths, 5, working against Tuoro as well, but the big man drives forward, releases. This is Wiley. Kurarangi gets midfield. Polkeri, they've got men over. Beautiful break by the centre, coming to the 22. Victor Simpson in possession. He's got a man free outside. Polkeri may have knocked on. The whistle doesn't seem to have gone yet. Maesteg need to play it. That's Colin Donovan in trouble right down on the goal line. There has been a throw forward. And that's sad for the old parish. Hugh Llewellyn, their busy little scrum half, having to leave the field. And let's hope it's not permanent. And the replacement scrum half will be Alan Lane. For the time being, Peter Jones has gone in, and Maesteg are in trouble. But the referee, who's right on the spot, is not awarding a try. So Maya Milsom doesn't have the honour of a try this afternoon yet. So looking at what Maesteg have done to reshuffle, they've taken Robbie Llewellyn away from the pack, stuck him on the left wing, and 11 is working the scrum. That's Peter Jones. And that's the Maesteg goal line. This could so easily be a pushover unless Jeff Pope can make sure of the strike. He's held them at bay for a moment. And is that a sign for a free kick? The Maoris striking early, and it's a free kick against them, which will bring well-needed relief. Alan Lane waits to take the field. The referee calls him, and he goes on as replacement for Hugh Llewellyn.
Replacement for Maesteg, Alan Lane.
Meanwhile, back on the Maesteg line. That's a fine relieving kick. A converted try, remember, in the making up the Maoris 6 points. This line-out is just inside their opponent's 10-metre line. Will Rickett, number 5, compete for this? No, it's further back for Cooper to have a go at. It's not good possession, and Richard Evans comes trundling through the line-out, and Maesteg edge their way into Maori territory. Now it's the Maoris' turn to lose a man. Frank Shelford, the back row forward, leaves the field. Perhaps a minor injury, but with a lot more tour games coming up, he won't want to risk aggravating it. Out to Wiley. Polkeri changing the angle. Robert Kurarangi. Victor Simpson. This is Wiley again, seeing that Blake was covered, chipping it behind Peter Jones, who has the ball now. That's not a very good fall, though, and the ball is still loose for Polkeri to use. Over the line they go, but they'll have to come back for a little infringement, so close to Maesteg's line. And in the foreground, number 20, worn by Carl Bakers, coming on as a replacement back row forward for the departed Frank Shelford. Lane taking over from Llewellyn, and Carl Baker's just come on for Shelford then and joined a scrimmage right on Maesteg's line. The Maoris threatening to add to their score. Lane slips the ball in, and the Maoris drive well, and they got hold of Lane. They carry him over. So what's referee Parker awarding? It's to be a kick to the Maoris for Maesteg fringing at the ball. And what will the tourist use as a ploy? It's Wiley, the ball carrier, 10 trying to find Nelson, 7, and can they drive? They've got the weight. They've driven over the Maesteg line. And the referee not able to award a try. He's seen someone wriggle, and indeed it's a penalty which goes the way of the old parish. They could do with this one. They trail 6-3, they're on their goal line. The scenery in the background perfect on this splendid afternoon for rugby. The pitch has seen a lot of rain in the last few days, but it's firm this afternoon. David Edwards with the fair mop of hair right in the middle. He's 23 and he won caps for Wales at schools and youth level. And in front of him, the big man on the left, Richard Evans, 19.5 stone. The line out just inside Maori territory. David Arthur not able to win that. Here's Wiley. They miss out Pokari. Victor Simpson can't evade John R.F.C. Good marking by Maesteg. David Edwards decides to take on the Maori pack. This is Alan Lane. It's into space for Peter Jones to chase. Kurarangi, 14, goes back. He leaves it to the left wing Woodman. No, it was too Wiley covering close to the goal line. There's been obstruction. And it was Alan Lane who was late tackled inside the 22, virtually in the same spot from which Maesteg kicked their earlier penalty for the same kind of offence. So as Ian Hall comes to take the kick, Gareth, how about this?
Yes, it's Alan Lane here who kicks ahead, and he is, as you saw there, very much late tackled, and there's a very good decision by referee Parker.
If this kick goes over, the scores would be level as we approach half-time. Kicking due north, Ian Hall. That's the second one through the middle. The crowd is thrilled to bits. Rather against the run of play, I feel Maesteg leveled these scores.
Well, there was no further scoring after that in the first half. We reached the interval with the scores tied at 6-6, and we rejoin the action a little way into the second half.
The sunshine warm and strong here in the Sinby Valley. The line out just outside the Maoris' 22. They infringe and are penalised. And this is what the Maoris love to do best, playing the handling game. And that's Colin Cooper driving as far as the Maoris' 10-metre line. There's the rucking, which occasionally caused tempers to rise a little in the first half. It did the job. The Maoris won the ball, and Steve Brown has to be very good outside his 22 line. The Maoris come storming in strength into Maesteg's 22. They lay it back. That was Borovic sending it to Blake. It reaches Pokari, a cunning little chip behind Colin Donovan. He against Woodman inside the 22. Woodman's got his hands on it. There's support from Carl Baker. Victor Simpson's also there. Andy Baker, 15, the fullback, is there. Woodman, number 11, helps the forwards at the maul. And the referee's whistle goes. A minute or so's breathtaking rugby, tremendous pressure on Maesteg, and at the end they have to concede a penalty for fringing at the maul. So another ploy by the visitors inside the Maesteg 22. How will they use this ball? Spearhead by the pack or space for the backs. It's Bush, the captain, driving away into Robbie Llewellyn, who brings him to earth, tries to turn him and prevent the Maoris rucking, but they've rucked. Wiley into a mass of the Maesteg cover, but Tuoro is there in close support. The ball loose, dangerously loose, close to Maesteg's line. Whistle goal. The crowd is anxious, they're worried. The Maoris are in the driving seat at the moment. Walker Nathan almost willing his men to cross the goal line, carry the ball across.
Right, Colin Cooper has to leave the field from that injury sustained there. But it's very good to see the Maoris manipulating these attacks, and Maesteg are really under pressure.
So Maesteg 8 against 7 for a moment at this scrummage close to their goal line, and Lane comes away. Enterprise by Maesteg. Donovan firing the ball, making the Maoris backpedal. Who'll be there first? It's Kurarangi. Donovan's got to challenge him. The Maoris living dangerously as well. Maesteg enter the Maori 22 area. Robbie Llewellyn is there. Mike Griffiths is there. They're all there. Peter Francis too. That'll make the Maoris doubly anxious to get their replacement on. Meanwhile, they have to contain Maesteg on their 22. The old Parish putting on the pressure. Can Lane get Donovan in at the corner? He delayed the pass a fraction too late while he tried to make the half break. Bad luck for Maesteg.
Yes, it was a case of taking the wrong option there. Lane obviously thought that he had a chance of making the break, but he didn't quite have the pace, and therefore he should have made the ball available to Donovan immediately. And now we see Bruce Amara, the replacement for the Maoris.
He's not on the pitch yet. Meanwhile, Baker breaks away. They try to bring off a scissors, which Robbie Llewellyn breaks up. Maesteg got 4 men outside, and they knock on. What a shame for the home team. Now coming onto the pitch to replace Colin Cooper, Bruce Hemmerer, the hooker who played against Cardiff on Saturday. Where's he going to fit in? He's going onto one of the flanks for the time being. Baker will go to number 8. Nelson will complete the back row. But it's not an ideal situation for the tourists, especially as Lane and Maesteg have the put-in. Maesteg grouping on the right in strength. They've got 4 men over here. That's Ian Hall. Phil Phillips trying to straighten the line. Can he get across himself? Oh, yes! Maesteg's captain, Phil Phillips, scores the first try against the New Zealand Maoris on this tour. Pancho gets the try. It took tremendous strength to get across the line, plus a little bit of a dummy to throw the defence. And the net result is that for the second time this afternoon, the Old Parish are in the lead. Borovic is at the front for the Maoris. One is Bush, Tuoro's behind him. And then we reach Rickett. Throwing in O'Carroll. This is Pokeri. Blake. Pokeri went outside him, but his hands let him down. There may be some advantage for Maesteg, thinks the referee. That's Victor Simpson covering. Halfway line. Jeff Pope aims long for Mike Griffiths. Lane couldn't gather, and Billy Bush, the Maoris skipper this afternoon, goes driving through as far as the 22 together with Carl Baker. They lay it back. Tuoro sends it to Blake. Blake can't quite see the avenue through, kicks towards the corner flag. It's teasing and dangerous, and Lane gets back to cover for Maesteg. Touch very close to that corner flag. On the right, steeply angled back, the Maori backs three-quarter line. And this is a situation where the forwards in particular will have to mark every man at the line. It's on their goal line. On the right, O'Carroll picks his man. Rickett gets higher than anyone else. Tuoro comes to help him, but the Maesteg pack drive them away a little. The Maoris win possession. That's Victor Simpson cutting back to about 3 meters from the Maesteg line. That's good usable ball, and Borovic goes for the goal line. Carl Baker's very close to him. The backs want the ball again. O'Carroll's going round to try and help the forward momentum. These are desperate moments for the Old Parish. This time it's Blake. Can he get to ground, or can Maesteg hold him up? The referee can't see enough to award the try. Absolutely heroic defence by Maesteg. What he has awarded over the side touch, he'd been playing advantage. There'd been an infringement by Maesteg. It's a penalty award, and they're going to run the ball. Little chip ahead by Pokeri. Could be a try for Woodman. Kofina Woodman scores a try for the Maoris to level the scores at 10-10.
Yes, and this is the way that it happened, with Pokeri with a deft little kick again. But of course we've seen this on previous New Zealand tours with Brian Williams, the chaser or the kicker, and of course the ball going away from the Maesteg defence, and a pre-arranged tactical ploy which worked excellently for the Maoris.
Here's Ian Hall dropping out with 17 minutes of the match left. That's Blake's kick up as far as Steve Brown. The fullback coming forward. giving the ball to Peter Francis, driving across the Maoris' 10-metre line. All action from Maesteg. David Edwards was there, David Arthur was there. Maesteg showing the Maoris they can't relax for 1 second in this needle game. Maoris 22, close at hand. Paul Blake puts the ball into the scrum. Fires it away to Wiley. That's Peter Jones waiting under it on halfway. Kurangi was up on him, but he bounced off him. Lane, good ruck by Maesteg. John R.F.C to Phil Phillips. They freed Steve Brown, and here goes Donovan. Covering by Andy Baker, but Donovan got a foot for it, and it was lucky for the Maoris that Carl Baker, 20, was back there to cover the danger. That was a terrific ruck by Maesteg, which started it all, and Donovan keeping the ball alive at the end of his run just now. Andy Baker looking for space from the dropout. He's got it between Steve Brown and the man picking it up now, Peter Jones. He just finds touch. Yet again we have to wait for a ball to be brought out. Walker Nathan, the Maoris manager, producing a philosophical smile, but no doubt wondering deep down whether the boys can pull out another victory. Not with slipshod handling like that at the base of the scrum. It's 10-10, and that's applause for their heroes by the Maesteg fans. It's all over. The New Zealand Maoris have learned how hard life can be. Maesteg were very much the underdogs 80 minutes ago, but they have been brave and gallant. They've stood sturdily, and they've brought honour to their club in its 100th season. Maesteg 10, the New Zealand Maoris 10.
Windsor Major, president in the centenary year.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Very, very proud.
Did you think they were going to win at one stage?
Well, we had our chances, of course, as they had their chances. That's rugby. And not one side, I should say, deserved to win as the score went, because I think it was a fair result.
But people were saying at half-time, oh, it'll be a cricket score now, the Maesteg side isn't fit, and these boys showed what they could do in the second half against Cardiff.
Oh, there was a lot of courage on the field this afternoon. And I think they did justice to their club, the boys, our boys. And they played the game as hard as they could possibly. They gave all they could.
Now, of course, you're president of Maesteg. This is the first major touring side you ever had here. Are you going to press the claims now for further visits in the future by touring sides?
We've got to. As you can see, the improvements in the ground here are exceedingly good. And it's obvious that we can cater for a touring side.
What would you say was the best moment, being president when you drew against the Maoris or when you first played on the wing for Wales?
It's a very difficult question. I cried on both of them, I think.
And now a little celebration with this very courageous Maesteg side.
I should say a lot of celebration.
Windsor Major, congratulations to Maesteg. It was a great result, great game.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
Walker Nathan, when we came here today, it was only a question of by how many points the Maoris were going to beat them. That's what the locals were saying. What were you thinking?
Well, it wasn't that. I can tell you. I can honestly tell you that. No, we expected a very hard game, but Maesteg played very well. There's no two ways about it. When you play rugby against two countries like we are, you look at the strengths and weaknesses, and they had to contain us, and this is what they really did. And they did it well.
A friend of mine in New Zealand wrote to me about 6 months ago when this tour was being planned, and he said, "Where the hell is Maesteg?" Did you know anything about Maesteg before you came?
Not very much, but I knew it was their centenary year, 100 years, and of course they wanted to play well for the people, for the local people. And we wanted to play well because of that reason, and the draw was a pretty fair indication on the run of play, I think.
In Cardiff last Saturday, you really came into yourselves in the second half. We thought you were going to do it in the second half here today. What do you think happened?
Well, let's face it, they summed us up. They've seen us play. We haven't seen them play. So really they had the advantage as far as that's concerned. And so this is the way they contain us, and they really did. We couldn't use our backs as we would have liked to in the second half at Cardiff, and that's what happened.
And now what about Swansea next Saturday?
Oh, well, it's another game. They're all going to be hard, so we'll just take it as it comes.
Well, thank you for smiling, and thank you for giving Maesteg a great game today, Waka.
Thank you.
Well, this is Paul Quinn, the New Zealand Maoris captain, who unfortunately had to sit it out this afternoon with an injury. First of all, the injury is recovering, is it?
Oh, it's very good, yes, Dave. Physio advised rested today, but fully fit for Saturday.
I bet you were itching to be out there with the boys this afternoon. They needed it.
Well, they tried hard, and I think that disappointing as our performance was, that you can't take any credit away from Munster. They played tremendously well in their centenary match. And
from Maesteg?
Maesteg, sorry. They played tremendously well. And, they gave everything, and we were fortunate to have a draw in the end.
You and I were talking on Sunday after your game against Cardiff, and we were talking about the line-out. It may be that you're still not competitive enough at that feature of the game.
Yeah, I think that we've got to support our jumpers a lot more, as was evidenced by the fact that there were gaps a mile wide, and poor Blake had a terrible time. Every time he got the ball, he got 3 Maesteg forwards with him. So I think that we need to improve on our blocking and support for the jumpers, because again we started to get some line-out ball in the end, but we seem to have failed to do so in the first half, and we need to improve on that.
Well, it was a draw today. Are the Maoris also holding their own in the entertainment stakes on the tour?
Well, seeing that we were on BBC Wales with our singing, and we've got a performance with Kiri Takano, we've been doing a lot of practice.
Good, and I bet you've been entertaining people too. Finally, it's Swansea on Saturday in Wales. We think this will be one of the really big tests for your side.
Unquestionably, Swansea are said to, in fact, be the best team on paper in Wales at the moment, and obviously we need to give a lot of thought to the way we're going to play the game, and look at the 2 games we've played and work on a lot of the aspects of our play, and hopefully give a much better performance for ourselves and also for the Welsh people, I think, too.
Well, our cameras will be there to see that as many people as possible have another view of the Maoris. Thank you for talking to us again.
Thank you very much, David.
There we are. That's a scoreline that I feel sure will become immortal and must be as important and as honourable as any there's been at the top of this Llinvi Valley during Maesteg R.F.C's first 100 years of rugby football. Tremendous achievement during centenary season to hold the New Zealand Maoris to a 10-10 draw, and one has to remember that Maesteg this morning were the underdogs. They're almost top dogs this evening. As for the Maoris, they leave here with plenty of food for thought, among which must be the prospect of having to meet Swansea on Saturday at St Helens, one of Wales's 2 or 3 most powerful clubs this season. The Maoris striving to put together a test side. Well, our cameras will be at St Helens on Saturday. We'll be capturing the highlights of the New Zealand Maoris against Swansea match, and you can see them on Sunday afternoon in Sports Lineup. I hope that you can join us then. For now, from Maesteg, goodbye.
Today there was a new twist in the tale. The Cambridge historian Lord Dacre, who had previously